Hello, everyone, and welcome to a crash course in Chizzy. And we are in the midst of block party number 162. So let me screen share and we'll cover the basics of the crash course in Chizzy. So first of all, what is Chizzy? Chizzy is an acronym which stands for Collective Human Super Intelligence. And we pronounce it Chizzy. That's how we pronounce the acronym, and you can also spell it this way if you want. And at the core of Chizzy is it's really two things. It is the main core is a universe of conversations, right? And the key attribute of this universe of conversations, which we are committed to amping up. So the key is connectivity, right? To what extent are these conversations connected? Right now, we live in a world where the vast majority of conversations are disconnected, right? Very, very, very fragmented, very disconnected. And there are some amazing conversations happening like this one that very few people even know about, right? And I mean, look at, for example, Humanity Rising. That's an amazing series of conversations that not a lot of people know about or participate in, right? So why is it that some of these amazing conversations, and please mute your mic if you're not talking, like Lucas, because you're making some noise, I think, or I don't know who's making the noise, but anyway. The main reason that these amazing conversations are so little known is precisely because we lack connectivity. So how do we form this kind of connectivity? There's the foundation for the connectivity. I'm going to draw this like, imagine this is like a big concrete slab foundation, right? That we can then build on top of. The foundation for the connectivity that we need, that we urgently need, because we urgently need Chizzy. We urgently need to become super intelligent as a species. Right now, we're killing each other, we're killing ourselves, we're killing all of life on Earth, and that's indicative of a, I would say stupidity, but it's something slightly different from stupidity, but it's certainly not super intelligence. The foundation for connectivity is a database. We need a database of the entire universe of conversations. That will give us connectivity. That'll give us a foundation for connectivity. Just having a database alone is actually not enough to have real connectivity. But once we have that database, what can we build? We can build a map of the universe of conversations. Okay. We can build a map. We can build a calendar, a universal calendar of the universe of conversations. All right. And we can build quite a number of things on top of this database of conversations. And in fact, we can deepen the foundation by not just saying, hey, there's this conversation and it's, you know, it's happening on these dates and times, and here's the link to them, and blah, blah, blah. We can deepen the foundation by including in the database recordings of conversations, transcripts of conversations, right? And then there's a bunch of things that we can do with recordings and transcripts. I'm just going to put an example here that I'll unpack later, which is archive sanity. That's just it's a great example of the kinds of things that we can do if we have this data, okay? And I mean, speak up if you would not be totally excited to have at your fingertips a map of the entire universe of conversations and a calendar of the entire universe of conversation. Speak up if you would, huh?
Is that what that, like, now I lost the picture, but is that what that AR, whatever it was, something?
Oh, no. Our archive sanity is actually something much more
Oh, that's supposed to be archive? Okay.
well here,
That's okay. Now that I know what it's supposed to be, it's okay. But archive sanity?
archive sanity is a specific program. I might as well just go ahead and play it. Let me play a video. It's only like 3 minutes long or something like that. It's not long at all. So let me go ahead and play archive sanity so that everybody knows what I'm talking about. Ready? Okay, here goes. Archive sanity. And I'm actually going to slow down the playback speed because he speaks kind of quickly. So let's see here. Settings. That's funny. Oh, that's because this is an ad. Okay, let me get through the ad. And
That's an innovation occasion.
I'm good.
Okay, let's replay archive sanity.
Why are you not investing in tax liens? No, seriously. Why are you not investing into one of the most...
We all know and love Archive. It is a massive preprint repository with a lot of wonderful papers. Unfortunately, these...
Okay, so archive sanity is a software. Here, he's applying archive sanity to a massive database of papers on basically machine learning, AI, etc. Okay, but they could equally well be papers on biology, papers on English literature, papers on any topic, and or transcripts of conversations. So whenever he talks about papers, imagine this being applied to transcripts of conversations. Okay.
Well, is this on a web page somewhere?
This is simply a YouTube video, and I'll put the link in the chat as soon as we're done watching it, okay? Now, I'm just going to keep playing the video. I'm going to start it over again. Here it goes.
We all know and love Archive. It is a massive preprint repository with a lot of wonderful papers. Unfortunately, these papers are not very easy to skim, search, or sort. New papers are also added every single day, but unfortunately, all you get is this huge featureless list. It's easy to miss interesting papers that might be relevant to your research. Introducing Archive Sanity. The function of this website is, as you might imagine, to preserve your sanity when dealing with Archive. As one of its features, it offers the same view of recent new archive papers, but all papers are now laid out in a nice way with a thumbnail preview of the paper for a quick skim and abstract below in green. Unlike arXiv, there are a lot of nifty additional features included. For example, we can decide that this paper on human pose estimation is interesting and that we may want to see more papers like it. For that, we can come here to the right and click on Rank by TF-IDF similarity to this. And arXiv Sanity will re-rank all papers in arXiv based on their similarity to this paper. So in particular, here we see all the papers in arXiv that are on human pose estimation. This is based on bigram TF-IDF encoding of the full text of papers and works very well. We can also search papers. For example, we can see what Jeff Hinton is up to by searching his name. And here we see all of his papers recently posted on arXiv. You'll notice on the top right that I am logged in with my user account. This allows me to save any papers I like to my personal library. For example, if I like this human pose estimation paper, I can click on this diskette to add this paper to my library. If I go to my library here on this tab, you can see it appear here on the top. Along with it, there are many other papers I've already added as interesting to my work. So these are all the papers currently in my library, and there are many. I can also decide that I'm actually not that keen on human pose estimation and remove this paper from my library by clicking on it again. The library is not only useful as a way of keeping track of interesting papers. arXiv Sanity will take the papers in your library and use them to recommend related work. Internally, all of these papers in your library are positives, and all the papers...
Okay, I'm just going to pause to comment. This is key. It will, if you like a certain paper, it'll find similar papers. So I'm just going to rewind a couple seconds.
is not only useful as a way of keeping track of interesting papers. arXiv Sanity will take the papers in your library and use them to recommend related work. Internally, all of these papers in your library are positives, and all the papers outside of it are negative. And arXiv Sanity will train you a personalized SVM based on bigram TF-IDF features of papers. We can then go to the Recommended tab to see our results. Here we can see all the papers posted over the last week that arXiv Sanity thinks would be most interesting to us based on our library. We can also filter papers to different time ranges. For example, if we click on all papers posted over the last year or over all time, we could find related work that we may have missed and we should really know about. Finally, we have the Top Recent tab, which shows the popular papers across all users in arXiv Sanity. For example, these are the papers over the last week that many users have added to their libraries. And these papers can of course similarly be filtered based on time ranges. Therefore, even if you don't have an account yourself, you can still see what papers other arXiv Sanity users find interesting. And that's it for a quick tour of arXiv Sanity. Currently, the project website is only hosting papers from machine learning parts of arXiv, such as CS, CV, CL, LG, NE, and StatML. This is mostly because these are the areas that I personally work in. However, the entire source code for arXiv Sanity is on GitHub, so anyone can easily create their own fork of arXiv Sanity for other parts of arXiv as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the tour and that you'll find the website useful. Bye-bye.
WordPress is
Okay, so that's arXiv Sanity. Now, so how that would apply, like you said, it's an open source software. He typed it up, coded it, and he's made it open source so that it can be applied to pretty much any database of papers. Well, guess what? a transcript is a paper. A transcript of a conversation is a paper. And so if I say, oh, I really liked this conversation, and I really like this other one, and this other one, oh, I really like that one, and I start to build my personal library of conversations that I really like, Archive Sanity, that software, can then recommend other conversations that I may not even know about. Right? Okay, now I'm going to go back to screen sharing what I was sketching.
That sounds like AI.
Uh,
There's an AI program that does stuff like that. And you can talk to Shannon about it.
okay, okay. That's a that's actually a very relevant comment. So thank you for that. Now,
In fact, she uses that to get the Humanity Rising stuff together.
interesting. Okay, cool, great. So back to what I'm talking about here. So the foundation is the database of conversations. A deeper foundation is not just the database of the conversations, you know, the title of the conversation and when it's happening and the link to join the conversation, et cetera, but recordings and transcripts. So if we deepen, you see my mouse here. If we deepen the foundation by including recordings and transcripts, then we can then take those transcripts and apply the Archive Sanity software to them and enable these scenarios that we're talking about, for enabling people to say, hey, I really liked this conversation and I really liked that other conversation. And then Archive Sanity will recommend other conversations that you may not even heard of. Okay. Now, Archive Sanity recommending these other conversations, what does that do? That connects you to these other conversations, right? So more connectivity, more super intelligence. The higher the level of connectivity, the higher the level of intelligence. Okay. Everybody with me there?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, higher connectivity increases the intelligence.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about the human brain. What makes us intelligent, right? Life on Earth used to be unicellular, right? And when we went multicellular in the Cambrian explosion, that's when, that's when biological intelligence really came into being. I mean, really significant intelligence. That's not to say that unicellular organisms were not intelligent. They were, right? They had sensors and actuators like a flagellar motor and, ways of finding nutrients and stuff like that. That requires intelligence. Of course it does. But with the Cambrian explosion, we went multicellular. We as life went multicellular. And the reason that we're able to have language and empathy and understanding and all these great conversations like we're having right now is because we've got gazillions of neurons are cells in our cranium. And what makes us intelligent internally within the cranium is the connectivity of those neurons to each other, right? How are they connected? Well, electrically, a neuron can fire and other neurons can pick up that signal. And the whole network of such connected neurons is what the human brain is. It's a network of connected neurons. So what we're talking about here, it's kind of like a fractal. Now we're saying, okay, let's take that idea of connected neurons and zoom out to a multi-human, a multi-person collection of neurons, right? Just consider that the five of us in this room talking and listening to each other, our neurons are connected. We literally have mirror neurons, right, for empathy and stuff like that. But we're connected. We're mainly using our language now as our means of connection and our background relatedness, right? We're all, Caucasian American males, right? Who are, well, except for Alan, he's a little weird because he's Scottish. But but I mean, like, I'm probably half Scottish heritage wise, so I'm connected to Alan, and we hung out together in Scotland and all this. So anyway, these are all forms of connectivity, right, that we have with each other, and therefore, but we get deeply related through these deep conversations. We get more and more connected. Okay, so remember, I zoomed out from one cell to all the cells in a cranium, to all the cells in our 5 craniums, the 5 of us in this conversation right now, or actually 6 of us. Usually there's 2 Marcos, so I subtract 1, but there's only 1 Marco at this point. So the 6 of us in conversation are a zoom out from that. Now, zoom out from this conversation to the universe of conversations. That's where we go super intelligent. And that's what we're on the cusp of. And the key is connectivity. And the key structure, the key foundational structure is the database of the entire universe of conversations, which we're not that far from having, actually. Stan Pokras has taken us leaps and bounds towards that ideal with other networks. And so in order for Chizzy to really take off, what I'm proposing, what a lot of us are proposing, is that we build this database of the universe of conversations. Okay, I'm going to pause for questions, comments, etc.
Well, you know what why you might want to dig into this, the thing I'm talking about is that one way of doing what you're trying to do is for each person to put in their own conversation and put it in this database in a somewhat organized way. And then if you have a certain topic, a certain thing that you're interested in, you can feed it into this artificial intelligence program and it'll come up with an answer in a few seconds. You don't have to look through everything. Now you might miss something that you would have gotten out of it. But the thing about it is that this AI thing can go through a whole universe of information in a matter of seconds and give you results. And it's an amazing. John Raymer is the one that introduced it to the chat group, so he's very familiar with this. And you know John, so you might want to ask him about it. I mean, he would actually be a better person to ask than Shannon. Shannon took this one thing and using it for one thing, so she has somewhat of an understanding. But Raymer knows, a lot more detail, and you know John, of course.
Sure.
So you understand what I'm getting at?
I do. Yeah. So you see, now, so here's the interesting.
Whatever the software that they have, it's probably nothing anywhere near close to what this AI thing can do.
I beg your pardon?
The software that you're talking about, this
Archive Sanity.
Sanity has,
Yeah.
is probably nowhere near the power that this artificial intelligence thing is as far as searching information and getting results back to you.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
So, so if you're, so I mean, that almost makes what you're talking about realistic,
Well,
because before I was kind of thinking, how do you put all that information together? Well, now I'm thinking that maybe there's a way.
it's totally realistic. But consider that by using the AI that you're referring to answer questions that you have, consider that that's backward looking, right? In the sense that you're looking backward in time over all the conversations that have happened, right? And all the text of the transcripts of those conversations. And you're basically saying, hey, has this question been answered before? If so, what is the answer, right? Now, what I'm talking about with Chizzy is present looking. Well, it uses the backward looking data, the data from the past, for the present and for forward looking scenarios. For example, finding those conversations that I would be particularly interested in plugging into based on my library of conversations that I've indicated that I like. And so Archive Sanity says, hey, Jamin, if you like these conversations, you might like these other conversations that you haven't heard of. And then I can go exploring and finding various conversations that I resonate with. And but really, both scenarios are profoundly useful, valuable. One is, using AI to get answers to questions. Another is using AI to find conversations that I.
Oh, it will. I mean, it will do that too, I'm sure.
Pardon me?
Yeah, it's not just the answers. I mean, yeah.
Okay, well, then
I mean, you have to talk before you can kind of get into what that can do. You pretty much have to talk to John, because he understands it a lot better than I do. That's for sure.
Okay, so he came to the after chat and presented this AI,
Uh-huh.
and then Shannon started
And he
using.
did that for about 3 days.
Pardon me?
He did that for, I think, at least 3 days. He came back
Oh,
to the after chat
yeah,
because what he was talking about captured everybody in the after chat's attention and interest.
yeah.
So he came back and explained it further and showed kind of how to use it and where you can go to get to deal with it. And yeah,
Do you remember the name?
he did do that.
Do you remember the name of the AI?
Something like GCP.
Is it Chat GTP?
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of a guess. What you could do, oh, let's see. What I could do, I suppose, is because again, Stan has this database. Well,
Yeah,
this after chat was recorded.
right.
And so somewhere in Stan's library or database is this recording, or 2 or 3 recordings of John introducing this artificial intelligence.
Okay, do you remember how far back that went?
Not that far, maybe a couple months, or a month, or maybe less than that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I could probably find it fairly quickly, because I have a pretty good idea, because they were talking about, oh, what was it that they were talking about? Mm, hopefully it'll surface in my brain. But what I can do is I'll check into it and I'll get back to you. I can send you an email.
Okay, that'd be awesome, Jack. Thank you.
Yeah, because I think um, that would fit into what you're trying to do very, very well.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and you'll think it's even more awesome. I think when we get it to you.
Lovely. Awesome. Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate that. See, this is collective intelligence right here in action.
There you go.
And guess what? You have now created yet another link between the block party and the after chat just by
Uh-huh.
mentioning it, right?
I guess so.
Super cool.
Okay, so I will do that. Um, so I'd be interested. Are you kind of done with where you're going with the Chizzy presentation, or are you still going with it?
No, I'm still going with it. Um, so back to it. So the fundamental, the thing is the universe of conversations. And the key to making that super intelligent is connectivity. And the absolute key foundation to connectivity is the database of these conversations, right? Imagine a database of all conversations that are at least minimally public, as we were talking about earlier, right? And then a deeper database includes the recordings and the transcripts of those conversations. And then Archive Sanity can go to work on those. AI can go to work on those. And the bottom line is, so just imagine that these circles represent conversations. And imagine these little dots represent people in these conversations. If all these conversations are in this database and their recordings and transcriptions are in the database, including real-time transcription, okay? If we have real-time transcription, what that makes, and AI, what that makes possible are scenarios like the following. Let me just number these conversations: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Let's say that conversation number 3, it's being transcribed. These squiggly lines represent text transcription. Imagine that that conversation number 3, it's being real-time transcribed, and that transcript is in the database, like I show here, recordings and transcriptions. So it's in the database. AI is working on that database. And so in real time, somebody asking a question in conversation number 4, if the answer either has been discussed previously or is being discussed right now, right? This is a whole new level of intelligence beyond the backward looking. Hey, has anyone ever addressed this in the past? Versus, is anyone addressing this right now in the present? Right? And if they are, guess what? Somebody in conversation number 4 who asked that question and finds out that in conversation number 3, that question is being addressed, that person can then hop over to conversation number 3 and say, hello, guys and gals. I understand you're talking about this thing that I'm deeply interested in. Okay. And that
You have the technology to do that?
I don't personally have it at my fingertips, but we as humanity have that technology. And that's what we're
We as who?
huh?
You say we as humanity have that?
Yeah, we as humanity, our
Oh,
species,
okay.
our species has that technology. That's the important thing. It's not which
Okay.
individual has it, it's that our species has this technology. And so our species can therefore implement this using exactly the collective intelligence that's being manifested in this conversation right now. You're saying, hey, John Raymer has some interesting or knows about some interesting AI software that enables a backward-looking scenario. And I'm saying, hey, great. We can now adapt that to a real-time scenario. And guess what? This person that went from conversation number 4 to conversation number 3, by having been in both conversations, they become a living link between those two conversations. And that living link gives us more connectivity. I'm going to pass the feather for questions or comments.
Well, people in the number 4 conversation can only go to the number 3 conversation because the number 3 conversation is being currently transcribed.
Exactly.
But even though it's being currently transcribed, it's still in the past. Very recent past. But it's still, I mean, it takes time to write something down.
Yeah, but transcription is virtually instantaneous, right?
Right. But you're not going to be able to search and figure out whether or not there's a conversation going on in 3 that 4 is interested in until it gets written.
Yeah, but I mean,
until it gets transcribed. Right?
yeah, but well, sure, but Jack, you're at your computer. Do you see where at the bottom of the screen of this Zoom interface it says show captions? Do you see that? It
See
shows
what?
okay, so if you look at the bottom of your screen,
Uh-huh.
your Zoom screen, right? And you see all these icons at the bottom, right? Like security, participants, chat, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, about a little on my screen anyway, a little bit beyond the halfway point, you see an icon that shows CC and underneath it says show captions. Do you see that?
Show screen?
No, that's share screen. But if here,
Share, right.
if you look to the right of that,
Uh-huh.
tell me what you see. Just read off the different icons that you see or buttons that you see at the bottom of your screen as you move to
well, that one says AI companion. Now that's part of what we're talking about.
right.
That's where that AI companion comes from.
Right.
It's
But
from the software I'm talking about. Just so you know.
yeah. Okay. Okay, great. So if you move to the right,
Then I see apps.
Pardon me?
Then to the right of that, I see apps, and then I see whiteboards. And
Okay.
then I see notes.
But you don't see show captions.
What? Oh, okay. Well, there's a more, and I see captions.
Okay, good.
It
So
doesn't say show captions, but it does say captions.
okay, well, if you click on that, you might be able to. What happens if you do you see like an up arrow next to the captions?
Well, I already clicked on it now.
Okay.
Oh, caption settings.
Well, in mine, when I clicked on it, it above caption settings,
Oh,
it says view full transcript. Do you see that? View full transcript.
no, I don't.
Okay.
You say useful or youthful?
What?
What did you say I'm looking for?
View full transcript.
Oh, useful.
No, not useful. Not useful. View. You know, like if you see like a view of the San Francisco Bay, a view
Uh-huh.
from the top of Mount Everest. View. 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 So that's the first word.
Oh, okay.
The second word is full. Like if you eat too much watermelon and you're full, your belly is full. And then
Okay.
the third one is transcript, and we've been talking about transcript quite a bit. So put those three words together. View full transcript. Do you see
I
that?
got you.
Huh?
But I don't see it.
You don't see view full transcript.
No.
Okay. Well, I do, and when I click on it, it shows me
Maybe because you're the
real.
host.
Hmm? What's that, Jack?
Maybe you see it and I don't because you're the host.
Ah, okay. So I'll tell you what. Let
Oh,
me.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. View full transcript.
That's it.
Okay, I did get that.
Okay. Please click on that.
Oops, no, I lost it. Oh, it gives me all sorts of languages. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
No.
I mean, but you may have to choose a language before it lets you go
Okay.
further. So I would
Well,
recommend.
it comes up with something that has my name on it. It
Okay.
says search transcript. Is that what you're talking about? Then it has your name. No, I mean, but you may have to. So I guess I'm at where you're at, where you told me to come at. I'm at the transcript, right?
Yeah. So do you see the transcript happening in real time? Do you see like when you click on view full transcript,
Oh yeah, right. I got you.
do you see the text being transcribed in
Uh-huh.
real time?
I do.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
right. So it's nearly instant. I
Yeah.
mean, it comes out fairly instantly. But if
Yeah,
you're
it may
searching from one thing to another to find out if something's going on that is in line with what you're looking for or want to see, it still has to get down there before it can search it, before it can figure out that that's what you're talking about, right? I mean, this may be a moot point. Maybe we're spending too much time on something that's not that important.
Well, I mean, we're talking about a lag time of 1 second approximately, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm calling real time. In
Uh-huh.
reality, it's stuff
That's
from
close enough.
1 second in the past and previous to that, right? So we're kind of splitting hairs, right?
Right. But what I'm saying is that if you're doing that, then that transcript is there. It may only be a second away, but that transcript is there. If you have AI attached to that, it'll see it. I'm
Exactly.
thinking.
That's what I'm saying. And
So there
so
we are.
so there you have it. And so what I'm saying is, um, in the universe of conversations that are happening right now. See, a subset of the universe of conversations are those conversations that are happening right now, like this one, right? So
Uh-huh.
if you're in a conversation right now, or you're interested in being in a conversation right now, the fact that conversations are being transcribed in real time gives you real-time access. You could say, hey, AI, show me all those conversations that are talking about solar radiation management right now. That right now, this minute, they're talking about solar radiation management. Right?
Yeah, I could see that.
And
And if you'd have to have the AI attached to all these conversations.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that seems possible.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially if it's transcribed, but maybe it doesn't have to be. They can AI can, you can talk to it, and it can talk to you and understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So that hopefully I didn't take it off the course here.
No, we're right on target. But we've distinguished two different uses of AI. One is to get answers to questions based on what's been discussed in the past, and the other is getting access to conversations based on what's being discussed in the present.
Yeah, no, as long as it's not too far in the past, the present. Well, I suppose there may come a time where that does make a difference. But I mean, if I want to know something, if I know it now or if I know it an hour later, doesn't make usually a lot of difference.
It
I
doesn't
guess it
what?
could in some situations.
It doesn't what?
I was just saying that if there's information out there
Yeah.
and I get it an hour after it's current, it's probably, in almost all cases, probably not that much different than if I get it while it's happening.
Well, here's the key
Although
difference.
in some cases it could be, I guess.
Well, let me tell you the key difference, Jack. The difference is between getting answers to questions and getting plugged in to a conversation where
Yeah,
you can both
I got you.
learn optimally and contribute optimally. Like there are conversations that need you, Jack, but until you get connected to those conversations, that need is going to be unfulfilled. That's the key.
No, I understand what you're getting at. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you could join a conversation that's currently happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what you're saying. And
It's
you could join several conversations that are happening together,
right.
kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can bounce from conversation to conversation. It's the difference between, the rings of wood inside of a tree that were grown, years past, and the cells that are dividing right now on the surface of that tree, forming a new ring right now. That's the
Mm-hmm.
difference. It's the difference between basically history and the present.
Yeah, I got you.
And my fundamental thesis is this: if we can make the present more intelligent, then, a week from now, looking back at today, that moment a week from now will be more intelligent because today is more intelligent. What's happening right now, if we make what's happening right now more intelligent, then when people are looking backward and doing queries and saying, give me the answer to this question, they'll get better answers because we've got more intelligence today, right now, this instant. In other words, if we have a heightened intelligence now, we'll be spewing out better answers for people to query in the future.
Yeah.
And to put it very bluntly, until we've achieved collective human superintelligence, we're querying a past which is of a lesser intelligence than what our potential is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the difference between reading a physics textbook written by an idiot who doesn't really know that much about physics and reading a physics textbook written by Albert Einstein. Which textbook do you want to read?
Uh-huh.
That's the key question.
So does that wrap up your presentation of this?
Basically, yeah. But the thing is, the more connected we become, the more intelligent we become, because the more intelligent we make the present. And therefore, the more intelligent our transcripts of our intelligent present moments. And the more intelligent those transcripts, the more intelligent the raw materials will be for the AI to work on a week from now and look back and say, oh, wow, that's really brilliant, versus, oh, that's really mediocre.
Well, I'm sure that there are ways for artificial intelligence to catch those conversations live, or at least if you're transcribing them within a second.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be in the past.
Right.
I think.
Exactly.
There's two, I mean, in a certain sense, in one way, in order to create a better world, I think, I'm thinking it's, well, that's super intelligent. I mean, I have enough intelligence right now to do that. I can figure that out. Except the only reason you'd need the super intelligence, from my perspective, is because the forces that you're working against are using it. And if you don't keep up with them, you're not going to be able to change what you want to change. So it becomes a necessary, to me, almost a necessary evil that we have to do this super intelligent thing because we got to keep up with the forces that are degrading what's going on the planet. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Except with the collective human superintelligence that we're talking about here, that we're envisioning, that has the potential to completely leapfrog and blow away any other form of terrestrial intelligence, including AI, including all the conversations, papers, transcripts, et cetera, that AI has to source from, that are aside from Chizzy. Chizzy represents the ultimate exponentially growing form of collective human superintelligence. It's the ultimate in human intelligence, Chizzy. I mean, we are intelligent because we talk with each other. That's what makes us intelligent. Sure, we're born with these brains, but just like we know from the cases of the wild childs of history, they're
So Well, go ahead, finish your comment first.
Yeah. So people who are born in isolation and don't talk with each other, their intelligence gets severely stunted.
Yeah, so where does, well, not intuition. I hate this because every once in a while now as I get older, I forget a word. But you know, when you communicate with each other without talking, what do you call that?
ESP or something like that.
Huh? Well,
Um,
it's kind of like ESP, but that's how supposedly aliens communicate. They don't talk,
yeah.
and I can't think of the word, but you know what I'm talking about. So I
Um,
guess what I'm saying, huh?
yeah, no, I don't, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the word the word's not coming to me at the moment, but I think I know what you're talking about.
You know, like we could both not be talking, but yet we could be sending information back and forth through this other method. That is the word that neither one of us can seem to come up with. But anyway, what I'm talking about then is
Telepathy?
that would be the way for Chizzy to be current, be right now. Because if we're communicating in that way and we're talking, well, then somebody else from somewhere else, because that this particular trait is not limited to being right next to the person. It can be out in the universe somewhere. So everybody who is having any kind of conversation or thoughts to be tapped into currently.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like ESP, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's how they say aliens do communicate, or at least the ones that they have had contact with.
Hmm.
My God, it kind of irritates me a little bit, but I can't think of the word because I think
Is
that
it
the conversation would be clearer if we could. But
it
I guess you know what I'm talking
is
about.
it telepathy?
Basically, I guess I'm not sure that's the word I'm looking for, but I think it describes it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Telepathy, where we could know what each other are thinking without saying anything.
Yeah.
But I know what you're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Mind
And
reading.
so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that would make your Chizzy instantaneous,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that is something that's possible. I mean, that's something some people can do.
Right. But reading text is something everyone can do who's had a basic education. And so by applying AI to the real-time transcription of these conversations, we can say, hey, AI, you know, uh, give me a synopsis of all the conversations out there that are happening right now in real time on the topic of solar radiation management,
Uh-huh.
for example.
Yeah, you
And,
could do that.
you know, and then voila, poof, there's all this text. And whatever conversation looks the most interesting, I can click on it and enter that conversation. Did you ever see or hear about that Bruce Lee movie called Enter the Dragon?
That sounds familiar.
Okay. So
I don't think I ever saw
the modern equivalent of that is enter the conversation.
it.
I mean that's what's at hand right now is our ability to identify those conversations that map most closely to what we want to engage in right now.
And
Enter
how do you propose using that?
with a
No,
text.
go ahead with what your comment is first, I guess.
Yeah. Well, how I propose doing that is with a text-based interface. using the very AI that you're talking about and the very transcripts that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. But then I guess I would guess that there's a purpose for that.
Well, the purpose is to exponentially increase human intelligence, the intelligence of all of humanity put together. That's why it's called collective human superintelligence.
Uh-huh.
The purpose is to exponentiate collective human superintelligence by exponentiating the connections between people and conversations, and between people and people, and between conversations and conversations.
Yeah, and then I guess it comes down to how you're going to use that.
Well, I'd like to use it to feed everyone, cool the planet, save the biosphere, end war, end poverty, and vastly increase the unity of humanity.
Yeah, well, we still have to deal with the current fact anyway that there are those who want a different world than the one we want.
Yeah, but guess what? When the people who are willing to participate in collective superintelligence, when those people do so, when they jump in and engage, they increase their connectivity massively. And they increase their ability to connect with those people who they want to connect with. That ability is increased massively. And so the segment of humanity that participates in Chizzy will grow exponentially more collectively intelligent than the bad guys. Right now, we're on par with the bad guys, right?
Well, maybe a little behind.
Yeah, maybe a little behind. Well, we have an opportunity to leapfrog the bad guys with Chizzy. Chizzy is our magic carpet for leapfrogging the bad guys.
Okay. And of course, you have to realize that the bad guys almost certainly have technology that's well beyond anything we're aware of.
Well, with
They
Chizzy,
can afford to do that.
with Chizzy, we, the good guys, are going to have technology well beyond anything the bad guys will be aware of.
Because there's more of us.
No, not because, I mean, there will be more of us and that'll be a huge advantage. But even if there are less of us, if we configure ourselves in a collectively super intelligent way, we can pull a David on to their Goliath and smack him in the head with a river stone.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, it is getting, well, it's already past my usual bedtime.
No,
But I wanted to stick, I wanted to, but I wanted to have this conversation because we've never had a conversation this deep before. And I didn't want to leave until we pretty much had finished it or gotten to some kind of conclusion. And if you have more that you want to say about it, I'll stay up to do that because it's, you know, I'm not sure when we're going to get an opportunity to have this deep of a conversation again. I guess if we really wanted to do it, we could arrange it.
Right, but just imagine that you wake up tomorrow morning and you're like, wow, I want to go even deeper. If you plug into a hyper-connected Chizzy, then the AI will guide you right to those conversations that where you want to go deep in.
So, can you engage in a hyper Chizzy?
Well, we're in the process of building Chizzy.
Looks like you're getting a little tired yourself.
I am. Hey, what part of the world are you in, Jack?
Uh, Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, we're only about an hour difference, but you're an hour earlier than me.
Not at the moment.
You're in Washington, right?
No, I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh, okay. Well, right near Greg Braden.
What's that?
Stop it. Give him stop in and knock on the door.
All right, I will.
I'm trying to think. He's not actually in Santa Fe. He's in I don't know, somewhere not too far away though.
Wait, who's this you're talking about?
Greg Braden.
Greg Radin.
You haven't heard of him?
Uh-uh.
Ah, yeah. He's one of the most interesting speakers on the planet,
Oh, wow.
and he's been on. Well, recently did a thing with the Shift Network called let's see, no, Humanity. Well, check him out. The guy is probably him and Bruce Lipton. You know Bruce Lipton?
Heard of him?
Lipton, like Lipton tea.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
Anyway, they're kind of doing similar stuff. They hang out together and do sometimes they'll do webinars together. But yeah, check out Greg Braden in particular because he's kind of state of the art.
How do you spell his last name?
Braden. That's Gregg.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't find it, get in touch because yeah, he is definitely one of the people on this planet that'd be useful to keep in touch with, or catch his talks and stuff. He's very good.
Well, what you're talking about is a manual form of Chizzy. You're saying, hey, Jamin, go check out this person. But
Uh-huh.
with Chizzy, instead of, or in addition to um, the Jack Strasbergs of the world saying, hey, you should check out this person, the AI would be making those connections. Right.
Good. It might have to read my mind, but I guess it might be able to do that. But I understand what you're saying. In some ways, I mean, it takes a while to try to figure out how all these things can work together. But are you aware of Humanity's Team?
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's another one because they have people like they've had Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and Lynn McTaggart. Those are three pretty high-powered people,
Hmm.
part of what they know and the kinds of things they get into.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm going to pause recording.